So today's project is to remove this headline and board, which, as you can probably tell, this is just the sunroof part, is doing the typical XJ40 thing of sagging badly. And I want to get the old one out before I put the new one in. Let's have a look at how things fit together. So I'm going to need a new visor as well, because this one is a bit toast. We got a point here. We've got a fit in here. This will need to come out, as will this. This comes up to here, so that will need to come off. These are held in there, and then the same on the other side. And if I remember rightly, these are in two parts. You've got that rear quarter there, and then you've got this front piece which runs down there. And these don't just pull off like that, they slide like so. I'm actually going to make a start, and when I get to remove these parts, you'll join me again and I'll show you how to do it. So in typical XJ40 fashion, we have these huge connectors for effectively what is bell wire. Always amuses me, but this was top of the line high tech in the day, and these are apparently aircraft spec connectors, and admittedly they are pretty good. The design is pretty nice. So you do this like so. Can't do it with one hand easily, but grab the other hand on, they just come apart like that. Same story with this one. So you see these yellow connectors a lot around the car. Now the reason why they're so big is because it uses a low current electrical system, which is a pioneering technology. GM used something similar on the Cadillac Seville of the same era, but Jaguar went their own way with Lucas and came up with this. It is impressive, but it's not without its faults, obviously. But you've got these huge connectors to establish reliable connectivity in the absence of a very, very high current. It's quite clever how it works, really. Effectively, you can monitor pretty much all systems from one central point, which is why you get a lot of information about the various circuits coming through to the dashboard. Then you've got your various circuits. Circuit 3, that's either circuit 1 or circuit 2, and that one down there is either circuit 1 or circuit 2. And there are obviously hidden relays and ECUs under here. Anyway, as you can see, that is already starting to loosen off quite considerably the headliner. We're obviously held in with this point, which I think terminates under there. We'll get that out next. And what we'll also do is quickly remove this. Now, thankfully, I'm storing everything down in this footwell, so that's all the screws fitted. Oh god, just been covered in headlining foam dust. That's always lovely. But you can see just how knackered the headlining is, and oh yeah, that just crumbles. That's exactly what I thought would happen. I might get some cloths to protect the interior, although to be honest, if it gets covered, it's not the end of the world. It's stuff that we'll just vacuum out. Right, back shortly to discuss removing these side pillars. So once you've removed the grab handle, behind this little coat hook there is a flat blade, and that's the little cap that covers it, so keep that handy. Using a flat bladed screwdriver, you can remove this piece. then you can keep the screw and everything else safely inside there with the cap covering it all, just to stop things from moving out of the way. You can already see that the front piece is beginning to move, and this is effectively the joining piece. So it isn't one piece that covers the entire side of the vehicle, which is handy. Right, I'm going to need 2 hands for this, so I'll be back shortly. Given that this is an XJ40 and things really go smoothly, this has come off, but at the expense of these locating points. So we're going to have to get replacement plastic lugs. Thankfully it hasn't actually damaged the trim too much. This one did actually want to come out properly, but seemed to get stuck at the last point. So if I try and just wrestle this out, you'll actually see how it's supposed to go in an ideal world. So that's what it looks like, and that's supposed to go in like so. Problem is, that's a very big fitting for a hole that's arguably smaller than that. So we'll have to seek out some of these trim fittings. I think they're a common trim fittings, so I hope there isn't too much issue finding them. The main problem is this can easily get bent out of shape, so we're going to store that probably outside of the car. Now I need to move on to this one and hope I don't break it in a similar way. You'll notice though that the headliner is held in with these little locating bits here, and I think there's going to be a few of those along its run, actually holding it into the roof of the car itself. And then you've got these obviously here, which are your, let's see if I can focus on that a bit better, your locating points, and these are the ones which I'm going to have to replace. So I'll try getting those out in a moment, and then we'll see what we're left with, and then we'll see if we can get hold of the relevant replacements. This trim piece looks like the main thing we have to compete with is, looks like there is a screw hiding here, and we've got that there as well. I might actually have a look. Nope, there doesn't seem to be. If you look behind the seat, there doesn't seem to be anything else. If you need to remove the seat back, it isn't actually that difficult to do, but I want to avoid it if possible, so it's just extra hassle. But that is a 17mm bolt, so we'll get that out, remove the little locating screw here, and then we'll see if we can get this panel off. So this trim piece was actually a lot easier to get off, because apart from the 17mm and the little self tapper, it's just held in with these pins, which is brilliant. There's no silly sort of sliding it over something, it's just held in with those, and it exposes this really cool hole here. You can feel the sunroof drain there, but the important thing is I could get my dinitrile into here and give all of this cavity a really good bit of protection. Same story here, and that'll give this whole C-pillar a nice dose of wax. You can see there some actually from the factory by the looks of it. Oh, actually no, sorry, that's off the back of the trim itself. I thought that was wax, it's actually foam. That's come away now, but you can get your wax into there. And that should go all the way down. The only thing we'll need to be careful of is we do have some wiring here, and you've got this foam, which is for insulation purposes. Thankfully it's not waterlogged. If it was, that would be going. You can also inspect this area here around the rear window, rear quarter light, for rust around the seam sealant, and also rust around the rear window, sorry. And certainly on this side we look to be in pretty good shape, to be honest with you. There's a little couple of bits there, but I don't think they are anything to write home about. I mean, solid. So yes, this piece a lot easier to remove. Right, this one here is probably going to be the slidey affair, so we'll deal with that one in a moment. What I will do is go over to the other side and deal with this quarter panel, but I'll need to remove the grab handle as well, same style in what we did to the other side. And as you can see, the headliner is already beginning to disintegrate, so we've got some blankets covering the car interior. So you got that one, obviously. Need to replace that because that has gone missing at some point. Obviously this panel and this panel and this panel, and then we should be ready to maneuver this out of the car. They say the best way to do it is out of the rear driver's door. So this is rear driver's door. In US that would be rear passenger side. Obviously because I'm in country of origin, it's a right-hand drive car. Or if you have the rear window taken out, or indeed the windscreen taken out for any reason, that would be the absolute best time to do your headliner. Also, do it on a day where it's nice and warm, as it means the plastics are more supple. That's why we managed to get that panel off over there without actually breaking anything, because it's autumn at the moment, but it's still around sort of 20 degrees in the garage, so it's still pleasantly warm but not boiling. Generally, with doing anything with interior plastics, the warmer the better. Yeah, you can see the original blop up there because it's a sunroof car, so you got all the sunroof there. It goes up there. Right, let's get on with this. So that rear trim is exactly the same as the side pieces. So I'm going to need to obviously find replacement ones of these, because they just go brittle at this age, and even if you slide it correctly, which I did, they just come away. Some of them have sort of remained with little bits intact, but ultimately they're going to need to go. Something else I've noticed, which I'm not surprised about, is Jaguar during the production filled some of these cavities with expanding foam. So if you have a leak anywhere and moisture gets into one of these box sections, then that'll rust from the inside out. So I don't think Jaguar are the only manufacturer doing this, or doing this at the time, but it is just something to watch out for. You've got here an earth point, and I think that earth point is, looking at it, yeah, there it is. That's for the electric rear window. And then we've got obviously another cavity here that we can inject some rust proofing into, and same up here as well. So the roof lining is basically, well, that's just coming away. You've got this left now, which is very flimsy and brittle. So one thing I'm going to do before I take this out, I'm actually going to vacuum this to minimise the amount of spores, foam spores, that come off of it. As you can see, it is horrific, and the liner itself has literally just come away from it. That's what tends to happen over the years. Same with all Jags of this era, XJS, XJ40, they all do it. Right, so let's get the vacuum cleaner and start removing some of this. And there we go. Headline is removed, apart from that bit on the sunroof, which I'll do in a moment.